Hello everybody, today I'm here to review Rockoholic by Skuse. This story is about Jody, who loves this band called The Regulators, more specifically the lead singer Jackson Gaitlin, and she, through some series of events, ends up kidnapping said rock star and ensues in a crazy amount of change that goes on in this story. Now, Jody's character at the start of this I found was very immature. I think that her character, though, through the circumstances of this kidnapping, ends up actually gaining some maturity because of the situation she is then put in. Now, Jody's best friend is actually probably one of my favorite characters to read about. Mac is one of those characters that literally you have kind of some mixed feelings on, not being completely sure as to what kind of character he is, but you absolutely love him from the start. He is like the standing firm ground that Jody's character can go to, and he's one of those characters that is kind of fades into the background the beginning that you find out about them, and you're just kind of like, okay, they're there. But then when he is thrown into this situation, being an accomplice to said kidnapping, he ends up starting to stand up for himself more, and he starts speaking up more, and he just really becomes this very interesting character that you like watching and reading about more. Now, Jackson Gaitlin, on the other hand, is a character that I think is the main character in this story. It's not really Jody. In my thoughts, it really was Jackson that was the main character, although everything is from Jody's point of view, and Jody is there in the beginning and the end of the story. I just feel like Jackson's character had so much emphasis and so much involved in the outcome of this story. Now, when I started reading this, I actually thought that it was going to be a bit of a light romantic comedy, and yes, it does have the romance and comedic elements in it, but this is actually a darker fiction, and it was one that I wasn't fully expecting going into. So for me, I didn't really enjoy the first little bit of the story, and then when I kind of decided to completely forget about the synopsis I had read when I purchased this, I then started enjoying it a lot more. So I am going to make you guys aware of something before you actually fully decide to pick this up and read it. This story deals with one of the characters being addicted to drug substances. Now, it's not the character's own choice why he is addicted, but it is something that has to go on in the story. So you are going to be seeing the one character I am talking about going through withdrawal symptoms and withdrawal emotions, and withdrawal physically and emotionally. As I have said, you know that it is not the most pleasant, especially if you have read something that involves a character going through drug addiction, depending on how realistic the author has gone. This is the first time I've read one where I've read about a character being addicted to a drug substance, and I think the actual author did a really good job being very realistic. Now, there are a few scenes in this that did get me a little teary-eyed because I just thought that they were absolutely lovely. But this is where my spoiler-free spot ends. So if you guys haven't read said book, you guys should probably stop now, because I am going to spoil things for you, and if you are planning on reading this, you really don't want to be spoiled. Alright guys, so the few things that I wanted to mention that I wasn't wanting to spoil previously had to do with Mac's character. I thought that Mac's character was just really fun, and I think that he, as that main character that was really the firm standing ground really started to stand up and be more assertive for things that he wanted and things that he wasn't willing to do or things he was willing to do. And I just really enjoyed the fact that he stayed firm in the decisions he made. It was Jody who had to change. And I really liked that about the story because Jody was the character that needed to change. She was very immature, whereas Mac was more of a mature 18-year-old. I do believe he's 18 in this, but I really like that about his character. And at the end, when he leaves and doesn't do the encore to go and catch Jody, that was just, it was so sweet because I was pretty much shipping Mac and Jody from the beginning. Now, on the other hand, we have Jackson, who is the character going through withdrawal, and you find out that it wasn't his choice that he was addicted to the drugs. It was the manager who got him addicted, and you find out how scary that manager is, like going and kind of going all mafia on people that had worked the concert, and you find out with regards to who he actually is and what he actually does. Like, it's just kind of emphasized that he's only the manager, but all of the other things that happen surrounding him, you're like, he is definitely a mob boss. Like, seriously, there's no way around it. He is a very scary dude, and you're kind of scared for Jackson, and you're kind of like, okay, this is sanctuary for you. Just stay here and we will keep you safe. Now, another thing is, I was killing myself at the beginning when Jody, she has the concussion, so she's kind of a little Lulu at that time. I'm surprised she didn't have like the dizziness and nausea going on at that point if the concussion was that bad. But she ends up offering him her Curly Whirly, and I just burst out laughing at the title of this chocolate. Curly Whirly. Like, it just sounds like something completely different from an actual chocolate bar, and it makes me curious, are there any actual chocolates out there that you can buy called Curly Whirlies? Because I'm kind of wanting to purchase some for myself just to kind of offer out to people, here, want a Curly Whirly. Another thing that I remembered from this that I really liked was when Jody starts to develop more of a friendship with Jackson. It's no longer a romantic, I'm in love with this person, and it might be because she went through seeing him go through withdrawal, or it might be the way that he treated her at times, but I really just think she realized that this isn't what she really wants. She liked him from afar, and seeing him in person, she realizes that everybody is the same, no matter if you have a label or not. Now, I also thought the scene where he actually has her lay down on the floor and he sings to her, I thought that was really sweet because you could literally see the actual relationship between Jackson and Jody change from being a kidnapped to more of a friendship, and then it actually goes into more of like a sibling relationship almost. It almost seemed at the end that Jackson and Jody were treating each other like brother and sister, and I really liked that. I think that it was the perfect route to go with their relationship, and I really enjoyed the fact that it was Mac's little sister that started to bring Jackson out of his almost comatose state in a bit, and I loved certain aspects of this story. At the end, when Jackson is getting ready to leave and Jody has basically paid for him to have a whole new life and a whole new existence, you end up seeing him kind of struggling to leave. He's happy to go, and Jody's really struggling because she really doesn't want Jackson to go. She doesn't know if he's going to be safe. And the vehicle drives off, and Jody just crumbles to the ground crying, and I was crying with her because I was thinking this is just so horrible and heartbreaking. And then the vehicle stops and Jackson gets out and he runs towards her and he just pulls her in for a hug, and when that happened I just started bawling because Jackson doesn't hug, and he doesn't like being hugged, and it's more of a protective nature for him. He doesn't hug because he doesn't allow people in, and he doesn't really he wasn't looking out at other people. He was very self-absorbed, and gradually he started to be less self-absorbed and noticing things around him, his surrounding circumstances for other people. And because of that, he was actually able to start letting things go and allow the wall to be taken down brick by brick. And at the end, you literally just see him take a sledgehammer to what's left of that wall, and he goes and hugs Jody, and it was just absolutely lovely. I did have a moment of fear, thinking he was coming back because he was going to take Jody with him. But when he just hugged her, I thought that was lovely. And then he left, and Max shows up. And I've already talked about that. The final thing that I wanted to mention is right at the end of the story, you see Mac and Jody. They're still together, and they're just kind of chilling out. They've been dating for a while now. Everything's kind of gone back into the norm. Everybody still is concerned, is Jackson really dead? Have people actually seen him? And they're just really concerned with everything that is taking place with that. But it's pretty much starting to die down, and you see Jody and Mac heading out the door, and Mac hands her a letter that had been delivered. And when Jody opens it, she drops out of it a branch with some cherry blossoms on it, and she realizes that Jackson is safe and that he's gotten back to where he wanted to go, and he's just going to be a normal person. He may not sing again, he may... The scene where he sings to her on the garage floor, that scene was heartbreaking because literally I could just feel with how it was portrayed in the writing that that would be the last time Jackson would sing. At least as Jackson Gatelin, at least as himself. If he ever sang again, it would probably be as someone else, but I don't really think he'd be starting to sing again when he finally was gotten out of the situation he was in. Now that scene could be taken as, oh, he has feelings for her, but for me, I really saw it more as a brother telling his sister, I'm okay, I'm safe, everything is fine now, and I just absolutely loved that. I think it was a lovely story. I really did enjoy Rockoholic. I might end up reading it again, but I have high hopes to pick up more by this author in the future and see what else she can write, because she definitely did a very good job with this, although I did feel like they were portraying something a little different from what the actual story was about in the synopsis and kind of in this picture. Anyway guys, let's talk Rockoholic in the comments down below, and I will see you next time. Go and pick up a random book and read.